So the other day I was talking about potential videos for my YouTube channel with my girlfriend, and we came across the idea for this topic, and originally we were just joking about. But oddly enough, for some reason this topic interested me and it got me thinking, what if Thor and Jesus did fight? Who would actually win? And so this video is going to take a serious look at who would win in this fight. Now to my mind there are two ways this fight could go down. The first is where they talk before they fight. And if they did talk, I think Jesus will be able to convince Thor that they don't need to fight, and instead of fighting each other, they should work together to fight for the people. After all, Jesus was an amazingly good public speaker. I mean, we still talk about his words to this day. And if you ever actually sit down and read the Bible, there really is some amazing philosophy in there. So Jesus was clearly full of wisdom and he knew how to talk. So I reckon he would be able to talk Thor down from a fight. And don't forget that Jesus' very first miracle in the Bible was turning water into wine. And we all remember how much Thor liked it when Doctor Strange poured him a pint. So if Jesus filled his cup with some wine, or mead, they might end up becoming friends. Heck, they might even go on a wild night out together, maybe ride some donkeys into Nazareth, and Jesus could even try lifting Thor's hammer. And I assume succeed. After all, if he isn't worthy to lift it, then who is? So in scenario 1, it's a draw, or a Jesus victory as he was the one who talked him down. But if Thor turned up to fight and didn't talk, he just attacked him straight away, well, that's a different matter. Now this fight would have to be one-on-one between Jesus and Thor. They do both have allies and followers of course, but this is definitely supposed to be a one-on-one battle. Although even if the followers were involved, in this case, Thor's allies are all warriors and many of them are gods, whereas most of Jesus' followers are human. And since it's unlikely he would call down other angels from heaven to help him in the fight, it means that Thor's allies would likely beat Jesus's. After all, the warriors 3 are all gods, whereas the 12 disciples are all human. Yes, the disciples outnumber them 4-1, but when they've got godly powers, that advantage doesn't really mean much. But this doesn't really matter because for the purposes of this video, it's going to be a one-on-one fight. So first, let's take a look at their stats, their powers and abilities. Thor has super strength, super stamina, command over lightning, is a highly trained Asgardian warrior, he can fly, is semi-invulnerable, or at least able to take extremely powerful hits without taking damage, and of course, he has the hammer Mjolnir. Jesus has the power to walk on water, he is a perfect human, which means he has peak physical strength and peak stamina of a healthy human man, he is an expert carpenter, he can transmute the elements, which means turning something from one thing to another, such as water into wine or stone into bread. He's an excellent public speaker. And he is also able to resurrect from the dead, which means even if Thor did kill him, he'd just come back to life, which is a huge advantage. But what we have to remember with Jesus' power to resurrect is that when he came back in the Bible, he still had holes in his hands from where he'd been nailed to the crucifix. So what this shows us is that although he does resurrect, if enough damage is done to his body, he will not be able to regenerate that part of himself. Whereas with other immortals, such as Deadpool, they are able to regrow a lost limb, from what we have read in the Bible of Jesus' resurrection, he most likely cannot. So if Thor destroyed his body enough, then Jesus would not be able to resurrect, because his body would be too destroyed to bring it back. And since Thor clearly has the physical advantage, it seems likely that he could destroy Jesus' body. True, Jesus could use his power of transmutation to turn Thor's hammer into something less deadly, but Thor still commands lightning, and enough lightning can disintegrate a person's body, meaning Thor would win the fight. We also have to consider that Jesus being Jesus, he may turn the other cheek and not actually fight back. But for the sake of this video, we will assume that he does fight back. Now, as I said, Jesus is a perfect human, and so he could almost certainly lift Thor's hammer. So if he somehow managed to get the hammer away from Thor, then, like Captain America did in the Avengers film, he would be able to use this hammer to control the lightning. But he wouldn't be able to take the hammer by force, given Thor's superior strength. If Jesus used his power of public speaking, it is possible he could trick Thor into giving him the hammer. But Jesus is a noble man, and so it's unlikely that he would try to trick Thor. So it's more likely that Thor would keep the hammer. But even if Jesus did somehow get hold of it, Thor can still command the lightning even when he doesn't have the hammer. So even if the two of them shot lightning at each other at the exact same time, Jesus would still die, as any human would die when they're hit with that much lightning. Whereas Thor, given his semi-invulnerability, would be hurt, yes, but likely would survive. And again, Jesus would likely disintegrate from the full force of Thor's lightning. It is insanely powerful after all. So again, Thor would win. except for the fact that when Jesus' body is destroyed, he would merely return to his spirit form and either become an archangel, or if you believe in the Holy Trinity, he would become God himself. And in this form, Thor not only would not be able to hurt him as he is an immortal celestial, but Jesus would clearly have the advantage over him in terms of power, as the Almighty God can literally do anything. And even if Jesus was only an archangel, his power is so close to the Almighty God's that he could still pretty much do anything, and could easily beat Thor by killing him or just turning him into a dandelion or something. So basically, Thor does have a power advantage over Jesus in his human form, but in his spirit form, there is no way Jesus could lose. So ultimately, Jesus would win this fight. And if he wanted to, when he becomes a spirit, even if his body was completely disintegrated, although he wouldn't be able to resurrect it, he could just make a brand new body, so he could still just keep coming back forever. Though when he creates the body a second time, he might give us some extra abilities, such as superior strength than Thor's, and may be able to control the elements, so he could stop Thor from using lightning, and then use his superior strength to defeat him. So basically what I'm saying is, Jesus would always win. And the problem with this fight is that in Norse mythology, Thor never came close to the power of the Christian god, or even a Christian archangel. Even when Thor took over from Odin, as he has done in the past, and became the All-Father and King of the Gods, his power was still inferior to that of Jesus in his celestial form. So although he could beat Jesus as a human, he would never be able to ultimately beat Jesus himself, because he would just turn into a spirit and could easily come back. Whereas if Jesus killed Thor, Thor would go to Valhalla and be unable to return, meaning that Thor would always lose this fight eventually. So there you have it, Jesus would always win, because he can't be killed, and even if he was killed and his body was completely disintegrated, that would just turn him into a spirit, and then he would become even more powerful as he's able to tap into his unlimited celestial powers. Basically, Jesus is just more powerful. Now, I know that this video is a bit different than my usual videos, but I usually create whatever's inspiring me in the moment, and for some reason this topic inspired me. And if you did like this video, then please let us know in the comments, along with any other matchup fights you'd like me to discuss in the future. And if you didn't like this video, well, I would like to remind you of Jesus' teachings to turn the other cheek. And remember that this is only a YouTube video and nothing to really get angry about. Though something tells me there will be a lot of people in the comments who won't follow the guidelines of Jesus and will be very vocal about how much they hate this video and probably about how I am going to go to hell for making it. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. And I'd just like to say a quick thank you to those who made this video possible by donating to the Needle Mouse Productions page on Patreon. And as always, thanks for watching, and feel free to subscribe, share, like, and comment.